May I please invite our session chair, Padma Bhushan Dr. R.S. Paroda, Founder Chairman, Trust of Advancement of Agricultural Sciences, for a special address, please.
uh, the new president of FSII, Dr. Ajay Rana, Sri Rajvi Rathi, Dr. Yogesh Roy, Mr. Raghavan, many distinguished colleagues here, which I see in the audience, starting from Dr. Vasal, Dr. H.S. Gupta, Dr. Bhagmal, Dr. Karihalu, Dr. Bansal, Dr. Dadlani, Kaushalji, and other distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to be here, and I would like to thank FSII for their invite. I would also like to congratulate Ajayji for and to you, Rajveer, for taking over this new responsibility for FSII. I think we must congratulate them and also wish that this is not the first, but many such activities will be uh, undertaken by your organization. Uh, the visibility of FSII is now quite evident, and we do appreciate that such organizations are responsible for promoting the seed sector in the country. I would like to also compliment you for the topic that you have selected for this discussion, that is innovate, protect, and prosper. And also in the context of IP protection, uh, how can this take India's seed sector to a newer height? Much has been said by Dr. Mahapatra and others, and as he said, time is over. Perhaps my time is much more over, and I don't want to further uh, delay your tea break, but Rajveer tells me that possibly I have to justify my tea, so I must speak. And in that context, let me start with the first aspect of innovation. Those nations have progressed faster in agriculture sector where they have uh, taken up major effort to innovate and scale those innovations for the benefit of the society. Green Revolution was a innovation led uh, around those dwarf wheats and rices. We would have possibly not otherwise achieved our food and nutrition security. Uh, when we had met at global level in 2010 in Montpellier, involving GFAR, with which I was associated, and CGIR, it came out very clearly that now you need a paradigm shift from agriculture research and development to that of agriculture research and innovation for development. So now time is for innovation, not for research publication alone. And to have products of your innovative mind, as was mentioned earlier, and IPs are needed to provide you legal right for that kind of innovative innovations that you have come out with. And in that respect, therefore, we would require some legal protection of whatever new ideas of my mind have led to an end product which is useful for the society. People say that innovations should not be only innovations, but they should be disruptive innovations. And for that, when we say disruptive innovation is like this smartphone, which has reached the society at the highest level and at the lowest level, and which helps us today in moving much faster. And in that context, again, when we look at uh, we would require the promotion of uh, more of research and effort in a not only public sector but also in the private sector, and now the time is ripe for public private partnership as well. So we have to see how we can work together and come out with new uh, innovations, which we call in Hindi नवाचार, और बौद्धिक संपदा जो आपने कही थी उसको प्रोटेक्ट करने की आवश्यकता है. But for that you then require to apply for patents. And when I look at the comparison that is there with regard to applications filed in the last 1 year globally, China is much ahead now. It is almost 10.5 million applications for patent were filed in 2022 as compared to 5 million in US, 4 million in Japan, very small countries, but see the kind of emphasis on innovation. Therefore, what is required is, and when you compare with Korea was talked about 2.7, Germany 1.5, and India is though making progress, and we are trying to catch up, but is still only 1 million. So there is definite need for accelerating the space for, and not only you apply for patents, how many of them have been granted is also an issue, and many scientists don't even know how to apply for patents. So that knowledge also would be required, a kind of legal understanding of the people like what Roy had mentioned is necessary. The other point is with regard to the protection, therefore, and protection, luckily we have IPR Act. We also now are fortunate to have our Plant Variety and Farmers' Right Act. I would like to differ from Roy in the sense that our Plant Variety and Farmers' Right Act is having a kind of uh, lack of harmony with that of IP Protection Act. We are providing equal, provision for protection to the researcher as well as to the farmer, presuming farmer is also a researcher, and therefore the protection is to be considered equally on that basis, and one should not just worry that name of farmer has been added. And we wanted to actually join UPOV long back when I was in the council, and realized that they had modified their condition of the relaxation that earlier was available for the uh, farmers to protect their seed, and then they had brought in the 1998 provision where that aspect was removed. And then we said we would like to join in 1971 provision. And then they said it is not possible. So we said, okay, what can we do? And in that context, we then decided to go ahead with our own Plant Variety and Farmers' Right Act. And this is a unique act. This is the only act which got passed in a record time in the uh, in the history of anywhere in the world in 4 years' time. When we started and we uh, got it cleared from the parliament. And then obviously when we look at protection, there could be patents, there could be copyrights, there could be trademarks and trade secrets, geographical implication, plant varieties, and also industrial designs. But our emphasis has to be in today's context more for plant varieties in particular. And we are fortunate that we have now a protection uh, domain existing, and we have come a long way. What Dr. Mahapatra said, so many varieties have been registered and much more can be done. And he is taking steps to further improve on the facilitation process, particularly because it is not only that you think that you have a uh, law So you must only govern the so the Plant Variety and Farmers Right Protection Authority also is there to facilitate the process. Otherwise, farmers' varieties would have never been registered if it was not there. And farmers don't know how to apply also. So it is an education to be provided to them, and that's you have to appreciate that. I think 50% of the varieties that they have registered are of farmers. Even the government registered varieties are at number three, and the private sector varieties are at number two. So we have to, otherwise, if this was not there, whatever farmers' innovations are there would have never been recognized, and they would never gain any benefit. No doubt, we have to see that they receive the benefits for their innovation. But for that, still much is required to be done. Now, coming to the third point which I have is about, according to your own agenda, prosper. Prosper, our Indian seed industry uh, made a beginning, I think, in early 60s, uh, when we have here uh, Sanjay Deshpande sitting. Uh, Dr. B.R. Barwale started with the uh, production and sale of the ladyfinger bindi pusa sawani, taking the seed from Dr. Harbhajan Singh and then taking it to the field. And that's from there we have come a long way. Today, what Dr. Rana said, our sector is very robust. It has come a long way. 550 seed companies in the country. Uh, I think outlay of about 3 to 3.5 billion annually. No doubt we have to catch up on export where we are lagging behind only 1%. So we have to think how we make it 10% at least in another decade, or we talk about Amritkal. So there should be some target for it. But the seed sector has grown, and you have to appreciate that side by side in the public sector, because earlier there were no private seed organizations or companies. So mostly it was the public sector's responsibility. And we started with the Seed Act of 1966. National Seed Corporation was also established in 1960. So we started prospering through some kind of institutional mechanism that was put in place. And then we came out later with our seed control order, where licensing for selling, exporting, and importing was permitted. And then in 1988, when I was in the council for responsible for crop sciences, we started the initiative for new seed policy. And I think that new seed policy made all the difference. All the difference in the sense that we allowed at that time commercial seed production and also sale by the private sector as an authorized system, import of vegetables and flower seeds under OGL, Open General License, and we also permitted time-bound quarantine system so that bulk seed when is imported, we have our own robust quarantine system, and FDI was also permitted in seed sector at that time. And these were all in that particular new seed policy, which made all the difference. And the foreign development, sorry, foreign direct investment then led to entry of multinationals in the country. And today, multinationals are also there, but our national seed companies are in no way less. Rather, the best seed producing with highest outlay are those which are in the national seed companies. more than 10,000 crores, 1,000 crore, 5,000 crore, and when you look at it, and they have not been taken over by multinational. So sometimes there is a fear if multinationals come, the national companies will be taken over. I think we have to strengthen our own system to a greater extent. Then we have been wanting the revision of the Seed Act for last more than 3 decades. We came out with a draft. I was myself responsible that time, and in 2004, new seed bill was also placed in the parliament. But 20 years have gone, not yet cleared, which means we have to now make sure that we have a forum by which we raise the voice that this is important for further growth of seed sector and this bill must be passed at the earliest possible. If there is need for any discussion on the draft that is there, then that should be initiated. And we must ensure that sooner we have a, a better enabling environment because what you require for prosperity or for further progress of any sector is enabling environment, and enabling environment must be provided, and that's the kind of enabling environment we provided earlier when we uh, had this plant variety protection authority created. Lastly, I would like to say that many of the private sector seed companies are still uh, either producing and marketing or just buying and marketing. Only 15% of the companies are R&D. How can we ensure that these companies uh, increase in number, and possibly what are the constraints that have to be made available? And I would like to also mention that at that time when there were no research facilities with the private sector, we in the ICR decided to provide the seeds of our hybrids, parental seeds of hybrids free of cost to the private sector so that seed is produced and made available to the farmer. This was a unique decision taken and rather bold decision taken uh, which led to faster growth of the seed sector. Now, of course, there are many hybrids with the private sector, and we know the growth that has taken place through single cross maize hybrid. In just last 2 decades, we or 25 years, we have increased our maize production from 10 million tons, where we were stuck up by 2000, now 37 to 38 million tons. Also, when you look at the BT cotton, the government provided the facilitation role for regulatory system, and BT cotton was released in 2001, and we became in just uh, 1.5 decades time the global leader in cotton production. We almost reached and we had beaten China by having about 40 million bales of cotton produced. Now it is coming down, and we have again come at a second place. So we have to again see, and that is because I think our regulatory system is stuck up, and if the HTBT event is cleared, which is already there in the final stage, progress will be much faster. So sometimes these regulatory requirements also are important and they need to be addressed and to be given proper attention. Uh, so finally, what is that way forward for us? And in that, I would see that I mentioned our seed bill need to be passed by the parliament on priority. We must have a relook and revisit our national seed mission and try to incorporate those elements which will facilitate the growth of private sector, not only the public sector. That I think has to be Even I have been and our task has been arguing that if the if the incentive is given to the public sector for production of hybrid seed, why not incentive is also given to the private sector if those hybrids are good and making an impact in terms of higher productivity? We have to strengthen our research and development both in public and private sector. We must try to build public-private partnership and provide enabling environment at the institutions because that's what the support national system now can provide. And we also have to bring in the ICR a kind of corporate culture. Uh, in Brazil, in Malaysia, Mardi, Embrapa in Brazil, they are all on the corporate design and they work in hand. Also in the US, they work hand in hand with the private sector and any end product when is there, then there is access and benefit sharing. But I think we have never met across the table and tried to understand how this kind of partnership can be further built and what are the success models of it. And there is already a mechanism of private to private licensing and sub-licensing. Why can't there be in with the public and private sector for this licensing and sub-licensing? Where is the hesitation? Only thing is we have to place our cards open and build the kind of trust which is required for building this kind of partnership. Then finally, about PVPFRA, Dr. Mahapatra has already made lot of, you know, uh, important statements in terms of how it is moving forward to provide more support. But yes, I also endorse him that there is time now to revisit and see where more facilitation is possible for accelerating this process of varieties and hybrids. Because when you look at the coverage now, maize is giving you the highest return in terms of or highest growth rate for production and productivity compared to any other cereal crop, which is more than 4 to 5%. But then area covered so far, and we have come to 35 to 40 almost million tons, but then area so far covered is only 60%. In case of bajra, we have been talking. I come from Rajasthan. No farmer wants any other seed, but he will say, मुझे तो संकर जाति का बाजरा चाहिए. उसको और कुछ नहीं चाहिए उसको पैसे की कोई परवाह नहीं है उसकी एंड वी अननेसेसरली टॉक अबाउट भाई प्राइसेस आर हाई फार्मर शुड बी नॉट टैक्स बट फार्मर वांट्स दैट देयर इज अ बेनिफिट एंड देन कवरेज अंडर बाजरा हाइब्रिड टुडे इज ओनली 40%. So, and case of hybrid rice we were talking. We started this project, a hybrid rice project, a hybrid research project in 9 crops, in which hybrid rice also came up in 2000. And Yuan Ping had come here at my request 3 times to train our breeders. And we came out with the first rice hybrid at that time. And then in last 2.5 decades, how much area? Out of 44 million, we have only 3.5 million. Today, we wanted at least similarly 15%, 50% what China had. China had 30 million acre area, hectare area, and coverage is 50%. So sky is the limit, but we need to really and we have seen that increase in productivity is possible mainly through promotion of hybrids. No doubt varieties also are required, but our emphasis should go. And for hybrids, we cannot move forward unless private sector is robust, strong, and move forward. So with this, I would like to say it had been a great pleasure. I would like to thank once again the organizers, and I see you have very interesting, you know, program for discussion today as lined up and a lot of Legal issues will be discussed, and that should help us to move forward. And understanding of legal issues is another requirement. Even our NVPGR should have, I have been telling, now a legal department. Time has come where we need to move faster and have better approach for access and benefit sharing. So with this, I thank you all very much.